Hey everyone, I am back. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. I hope that you have had an absolutely wonderful week. For those of you who are tuning in for the very first time on Mental Health Moment with Dr. Hammond, welcome, welcome. So today's mental health moment is about how do you deal with things outside of your control. And thanks for those who are still starting to join here. Let me know also in the comments where you're tuning in from today. Today I'm in the Tampa Bay area of Florida. I think this is the no, that's not true. Okay, I was gonna say this is the one week of the summer where I'm actually in town for like a whole week, which is crazy. Usually my summers are like the downtime and not the summer. So I've been somewhere almost every single week, but I take that back. I think yes, I'll be out of town again this week. So almost close. But nonetheless, today's mental health moment. Let me know again where you're tuning in from in the comments. But today's mental health moment is about how do you deal with things outside of your control. And we talk a lot, for those of you who are new, I'm going to talk about, we talk a lot about how do you shift your mindset in a way that you can work on becoming your number one priority. You can work on showing up powerfully for yourself and for those around you. That's what Mental Health Moment is all about. Each week we're here. Um, so, so what was it? Sunday, actually, a couple days ago, I was coming back from Charlotte, North Carolina. I had gone to a conference. And my plans were to get home early. So I booked an earlier flight to get home pretty early afternoon because it was Sunday. And I'm like, okay, I have plans to, well, first of all, reset and recharge because it was a multi day conference, very busy, very hectic. Spend some time with the family, get ready for the week. Like I had all these things that I plan to do. And of course, practice my self care, right? Which is what we talk about every week on Mental Health Moment. However, there's a series of things that happen because for any of you who, I mean, all of us at some point maybe have traveled somewhere or another, and travel plans do not always go as planned. So the day started with when I was still in the hotel, thankfully at least, where I got the message, the flight's delayed. I'm like, okay, well, no big deal. Even though I had a connection flight, I said, no big deal. It's not delayed that much. Then it became delayed so much that it was like, okay, you're definitely missing your connection flight. To make a really long story short, there were so many things that happened between delays, not being able to get on the next flight after that was delayed. All of that happened. I didn't get home until 10:30 p.m. This past Sunday. So, what did that mean? Well, every single thing that I had planned to do did not happen because I wasn't at home to make those things happen. And it was frustrating because that's just not how I thought my day was going to go. And so I share this with you because a lot of times there's things that maybe you have on your calendar. Maybe you have been amazing at working, yay, on your self care and your reset, recharge time, but something pops up in life that you were not able to control. So, on today's mental health moment, I want to remind you that during those times, number one, you need to work on giving yourself grace. And for those of you who that's hard for you to do, because I get it, um, you can literally work on um, work on telling yourself that there are things outside of your control. There's many things you can control, but there's also a lot of things that you cannot control. So, case in point, as I mentioned this past Sunday, I mean, there were so many things, you all like delay, missed connection flight, can't get on the next flight. The next flight was delayed. I mean, what's actually was interesting too was when I finally did. I think I felt like I texted my husband like 5 times that day because I was like, "Oh, I'm coming home now," and it's like, "No, I'm not." Like every every second was something. And so finally it was like 5:25. It's only from the connection flight was in Atlanta to Tampa, which is like an hour and a half flight, quick flight. So I'm like, okay, great. 5:25, I can finally get on this flight. No big deal. I'll be home in, hour and a half, or I'll be at the airport. Then that flight was delayed. I can't even remember if it was because of something going on at the airport or weather or whatnot. We finally get on the plane. I text again. I'm like, okay, we're leaving now, right? Heading out on the runway. And then the pilot comes on and makes an announcement and is like, actually, guys, so sorry. There's a ground stop in Tampa because there's thunderstorms. So we're going to be out here for at least 35, 40 minutes. Mind you, we're on the runway. Send another text. I'm like, oh, you know what? 30, 40 minutes later, cool. We're up in, we finally leave. I'm like, I send a text. We're leaving. We're getting up in the air. As we're up in the air traveling, the pilot comes on again and he's like, hey guys, I got some more bad news. And by this time, the whole plane is like, oh God, like, right. We had so many delays. And he's like, actually, we now cannot land again in Tampa right now because they started the ground stop again because there was thunderstorms, all these sorts of things happening. So we're going to be circling up here in the air for another 30, 35 minutes. And we're just like, right. So I eventually landed, you all, thank the Lord. Which I'm like, okay, Tampa is, thank goodness, one of the easiest airports to fly out of, by the way. My bias, because I live in the Tampa area. I finally get there. I'm like, okay, I'm tired, I'm exhausted. When we land, which has never happened before, ever, in my experience, the tram that takes you like to get your bags, like takes you to the main part of the airport, the tram was broken. So there's hundreds of us, literally hundreds of us just standing there. We're like, where is the tram? Because it was like 20 minutes later. Usually the tram's going every like couple minutes. It was broken, of course. Right? Everybody's like tired, exhausted. We're like, we're ready to go home. And so we went around to where the tram, anyways, the other side where we weren't supposed to go, where the tram's incoming. And well, anyways, we were like jumping barriers to like get onto that tram to take us back. We eventually made it back. Nonetheless, like I said, I got home at like 10:30 at night. The day was totally done. And it was so physically exhausting. I didn't get what I wanted to get done. But again, I share this with you because there will all there will always be at certain points in your life the seasons or the storms through the seasons, right? There's a storms, there's obstacles that come up, there's things that you cannot control, there's things that you're like, I wish I had this amount of time, but something came up, I couldn't do it. Maybe you did the amazing thing of scheduling your self-care time, which is incredible. And then work happens, or life happens, or family happens, or friends, or something else pops up that you do not have any control over. So again, I share this with you today to remind you, because I had to remind myself, you all, like I really did, because I was like, oh, I had plans, right? I was like, I had plans to get my stuff done, which didn't happen. But I share this with you again, number one, to give yourself grace during these times, whatever your storms, your seasons that you may be in, whatever things that happen that was not even in your control. You have to change your mindset and remind yourself of that, because a lot of times I've met many people in my life. Thankfully, I'm grateful for all the people I've met and hearing a lot of different stories. But one of the things that's a struggle, which I talk about actually in my book, and I'll talk about that in a moment, but is our self blame sometimes, our self talk, our self blame, right? So, in order to get out of that, you're going to have to mentally give yourself some reminders through this season, through not even the season, through this time of something happened that was not within your control. Giving yourself grace is number one. Number two, reminding yourself this is not your fault, right? I mean, I don't have that much power. Like, I don't control the weather, you all. Shocker, right? No, I can't control Mother Nature. I couldn't control this past weekend with between the thunderstorms and the flight delays and the tram breaking down. Like, what? It's like, what is happening here? Like honestly, there was a point where I was like, am I in the twilight zone? Like, what is going on here? Because it was just one thing after another. But again, you have to remind yourself, whatever your season is, your obstacle is, like the things that weren't even in your control, you remind yourself, this is not my fault. And if you're just tuning in, today's mental health moment is all about how do you deal with things that are outside of your control. And I was just sharing the story about the crazy Sunday that I just had with the travel that did not go the way I would have liked to have gone, and every sort of delay, every sort of tram breaking down, like something was happening. And I basically lost my whole entire Sunday, which I thought I was going to have. to do what I want to do, but here we are. But yeah, so the other thing to remind yourself is that it's not your fault. There are some things outside of your control. And then another thing to remember is that a lot of times things happen for you, right? If you have that mindset, it's not always easy, especially in the hard times, but things are happening for you. So maybe there was a reason that for that Sunday or this past Sunday, maybe there was a reason that I wasn't supposed to be on the flight before that. I wasn't supposed to be on the flight that I thought I was going to be on, and then they didn't have any seats. And I wasn't supposed to get home as early as I need to for whatever reason. Like sometimes things are happening, and you're like, man, why are these things happening? Why are these delays happening? Why can't I do what I want to do in the time frame I want to do it? But it's because there's certain things that are happening for you, divine intervention, if you will, in the time frame that they're meant to happen, right? So you have to remind yourself of those things, and it really does just take a mindset shift. Um, well, after traveling pretty extensively over the last couple years, especially, I have been. I mean, I wasn't happy this past Sunday, but I have been more gracious, if you will, with understanding when the delays happen, which happens with flying, or when something just doesn't go the way that I thought it was going to happen or I wanted it to happen, because you never know the reason that that is happening for you. So I really want to remind you of that today. So again, today's mental health moment is all about when things happen that are outside of your control. Please remember to give yourself grace. Please work on, and some of you, we all have different coping gifts, if you will. So some of you may be amazing at this, and some of you, this is your area to work on, which is okay. But please remember that you don't have to blame yourself for a lot of things that have happened to you or are currently happening to you right now in your life, which are completely outside of your control. If you really took a step back and reflected on a lot of things that have happened to you or are happening currently, many things are probably outside of your control. Now, are there certain decisions that may have made that you regret? Sure, we're human, right? We're not perfect, but there's also a lot of things that happen which you had nothing to do with and is not your fault, and that you need to give yourself grace for. So I really want to remind you of that today. Um, the other thing is that the other thing that I learned, for example, with for those of you just tuning in here, I was telling about the crazy experience that I had on Sunday with a ton of delays and getting home at 10:30 at night when I thought I was going to be in like early afternoon and have this whole day. And I had plans for myself, which didn't happen. Plans for myself and my family, which didn't happen. But the other thing that you have to remember during that time, and we've talked about this before on Mental Health Moment, but when you go through something like that, so there's a lot of adrenaline and there's a lot of almost like fight or flight mode that you get in sometimes, like things are happening and why is this happening? And it can really put a lot of stress on your body, physically put stress on your body to go through not just obviously flight delays, but whatever it is for you that you didn't expect to happen. Um, so you also have to remember to work on repairing your physical body, meaning like how do you get into states of like bringing yourself back down, working on being calmer, working on recentering, if you will. So what I did in the airport, because it was such a ridiculousness, if you will, was um, I literally even started walking in the airport because I was like, okay, I need to physically work on like the stress that was entering my body. The stress causes inflammation, but I'm like, okay, let me just do some walking. I turned on my Apple Watch. I was like, okay, indoor walk. Like, and Atlanta airport is huge, so there's plenty of places to walk between gates and things like that. But just working on clearing your mind, working on physically um, recentering, excuse me, recentering yourself physically and emotionally and mentally, right? When things like that happen to you, especially things that are outside of your control. So I want to remind you of that today. So a couple other announcements that I did want to make. Some of you may have heard it if you've been on the last couple mental health moments, but there are a couple of talks that I will be at. So I want to invite you all to that. Actually, let me tell you about the book first, and then I'll invite you to those.
But mindsettrainingbook.com, for those of you who have not heard the news, it is my new book coming out. It's Mindset Training, Conquer Your Mind, and the Rest Will Follow. Because as I've been talking about for years on my top moment about mindset, that's something that's very near and dear to my heart. When you put the holistic self-care that you need in your life into place, and you really work on yourself mentally and physically and emotionally and spiritually, it really can change your life. I know this personally and I know this professionally. So that's what the book's about in a nutshell. You can get more information in pre-order on mindsettrainingbook.com. It officially comes out September 10th, you all. So it's like right around the corner. But if you pre-order, then there's a ton of goodies that you get. So you want to get the little goodies right with it. So mindsettrainingbook.com. So Saturday, which is like next Saturday, next week. That's crazy. Okay. Yes. Next Saturday. Well, the Saturday after next, Saturday, July 27th in Orlando. It's the Amp Your Life Now Summit. I'm so excited. I'm always excited, but I'm super excited to speak at this summit because it's hosted by my dear friend Manny, and like incredible speakers will be there. I know this event is going to be so amazing. It's so focused on making you a better person, and that is something that I love personally and professionally, and I'm really honored to be speaking there. But nonetheless, ampyourlifenow.com is where you can go for tickets. Again, it is in Orlando. Saturday, July 27th. You can get more information. It's going to be amazing. So it's all things how to better yourself in different areas of your life. So mine obviously is mental health. It's Amp Your Life and Mental Health. I think there's a real estate expert there as well. There's someone there on mindset. There's someone there on relationships. Like it's just different parts of who you are and how do you grow to be a better person. So super excited about that one. And then wow, I didn't realize that. Okay, the following Saturday, I don't even know my own schedule, y'all. It's been a crazy couple of months. Nonetheless, Saturday, August 3rd, um, Jackson and Action 83 Foundation, they will be hosting, I don't know why it doesn't say it on, okay. Anyways, they'll be hosting a Mind Masters Wellness Workshop, and it is for middle schoolers. This is actually in Tampa. I don't know why I didn't say that on there. But this is in the Tampa area. So it is for sixth graders, seventh graders, and eighth graders and their parents. And it's basically going to be a summit. I'm super excited about this one too, but it's basically going to be a summit for middle schoolers to help them with their emotional health. There's a lot that our middle schoolers are going through. I have an upcoming seventh grader. There's a lot that our middle schoolers are dealing with. Yeah, teaching them all the skills, how to get through life, how to navigate, how to be better versions of themselves as well. And then I'll be speaking to parents that day on self-care, on how to keep your kids emotionally healthy. So I'm super excited about that one as well. And then my last announcement here, if I can find it, is I think it's on here. Okay. Well, anyhow, Dr.NekeshiaHammond.com. I'm also hosting a summit on August 14th. I believe that's on the website, hopefully. If not, it'll be up there soon. And I'll be announcing on my socials and things like that. But that will also be free. The Jackson Action one is free. And then also my virtual summit will be free as well. So those are all my announcements. That one's August 14th. So a couple coming up here. A couple coming up here for you all. I hope to see you at some of them. Some of them are in person, some of them are virtual. This week. Okay, never mind. It's a private event. So, but nonetheless, also Dr.NekeshiaHammond.com always has the upcoming, we try to keep that updated, the upcoming events in case I miss one on here. It's just busy, hectic season right now with the book coming out and also hosting a virtual summit, which I'm super excited about, but a little busy, crazy, hectic. But if you all need me before next Tuesday, you can always reach out, Dr.NekeshiaHammond.com. If you can get to that place of inner peace, and it's not to say that things won't happen in your life, they absolutely will. Why not, right? It's a roller coaster of life. Sometimes we have a lot of surprises, a lot of different things that pop up. But when you really truly get to that place of inner peace, and you know how to get back to that place of inner peace, like that's the key. So things are going to pop up. There's going to be the bumps in the road. There's going to be the things you can't control, as I talked about before. But like when you know, like, okay, here's the steps and I'm going to get back to my inner peace, it's really a beautiful place to live. Um, which there's a whole chapter in the book about that. But nonetheless, okay. If you need me, it's drnekeshiahammond.com. I hope you all have an amazingly blessed week. Take care of yourselves. Be well. Bye, you guys.